Welcome back to Project Independence and You, Senior Talk Radio, here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I am Kristina Liu, your producer slash co-host for the second hour for Talk of the Town. I'm with Otto Los. We just had a very informative first hour interview with Monica Ritchie. If you missed that interview, it was all about all things arthritis. We had so many questions, and she really gave such a detailed and very clear description of so many different types, because, you hear that broad term, Otto, and, you don't realize everything that kind of goes underneath it. So I
I
learned a
thought she
lot.
was great, and I personally learned a tremendous amount in a short period of time
Mhm.
about arthritis.
Yeah,
And I've had exposure to it, not personally, but close people, my mother
right.
and other people, lots of people. And I really learned a lot. I didn't realize that rheumatoid arthritis, if you don't have these things, you don't
Mhm.
really absorb a lot about it, to be blunt
Mhm.
about it,
Of
because
course.
so many things that you can have, you can't become an expert in all of them. And, that it's tough stuff.
Yeah, it was really so because when you were saying, you hear people like, oh, it's like it kind of is something you just hear, like, oh, as you age, you have arthritis, like it just goes hand in hand. It's like one of those unavoidable things. But she really, I think, broke it down very clearly, and it was interesting on it because it's like just to find out what a rheumatoid arthritis, the doctor is and the waiting period, and she was so open and honest about everything. So
Hmm.
if you missed her interview, I highly recommend that if you were watching this, you could watch it on North Hempstead TV. You can go, it'll be archived on our website for Project Independence. It'll also be on the WCWP YouTube page because it's really informative. And I'm certainly going to inquire about getting her to do a presentation, for one of our groups, maybe the advisory or a separate program, because I think she is a wealth of information. So great interview, great questions, Otto, as always. Good stuff.
We have actually, my wife's niece has, now I realize she has
Mhm.
rheumatoid arthritis, and I really didn't glue it together.
Yeah.
Arthritis was the word, and that's
Hmm.
all I got.
That's right. I know. It's really really, really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But there are ways to, certainly get help. So it's important too. I think she gave us a lot of good information. But Otto, you had a task last week, and it was to go check out Tully Park's pickleball courts. So give us the scoop.
Well, I went to Tully Park, which is
Mhm.
a short stroll from my house, actually. Um, and they have these 14 beautiful new pickleball courts that they built, and they had opening day last, whatever day it was. Now I forget.
Yes.
Wednesday, I
Mhm.
think. Uh, and I went there, and it was a very hot day, hot, humid day, one of those days. And I figured probably nobody be there because it's so hot. And I said, how did everybody get the word? So I show up, and lo and behold, there's a long line there of people
Really?
waiting to get onto the pickleball courts. And all of our council people were there, including Jan DeSena, who actually was out playing pickleball with
Oh,
shoes with heels on them. So,
wow.
and she's a pretty good athlete, I'll say,
Mhm.
by watching her play. And she decided to take her shoes off during the course of the match. Uh, but she found out that the ground was very hot.
Mhm.
So that ended the play. But I'd say the point is that it was a huge success. And the courts are beautiful. There's 14 of them, and there were people playing on all 14 courts. Uh,
Wow.
Now, I have not had the chance to go back to see, like when the party's over, what is it like now? Are there
Hmm.
going to be a lot of people there? Uh, but at this moment in time, they had some rules which we've shown
Hmm.
that you do have to be a resident of the town of North Hempstead. You do have to register in Tully uh, Park, the building there, to get an ID of some kind, a
Hmm.
pickleball ID. Uh, and I would say it was a surprise to me that it was, I keep hearing about how hot pickleball is, but that day was hot. And I was saying, there are probably not too many people going to show up.
Can't stop it. The love of pickleball like overpowers the
Wrong,
heat.
wrong. A lot of people showed up, and
The question is, Otto, will you be picking up a pickleball racket and
I
get?
really want to try it, and I am
Yeah.
going to. You need to have your own pickleball paddle. It's really a wooden paddle,
Mhm.
and a pickleball, which is a plastic, like wiffle ball kind of
Mhm.
thing. And it looked like there's different levels, like there were people just tapping the ball back and forth.
Mhm.
Uh, that, and then there's the more competitive version of it, where people are starting to slam it a little bit.
Right.
Uh, and I really don't know the rules yet, but I'm going to go over there and watch a game and find out what the
Good.
rules
I'm
are.
excited for this journey. I'm really
Yeah,
excited
no,
to hear
it
about
was
it.
very good, and I think the town did well for it. While they did that, they fixed the tennis courts,
Mhm.
uh, which frankly, not a lot of people were playing tennis.
Mhm.
Nobody actually.
Well, because everyone was at that pickleball court, That's
Well,
what
I think
happened.
tennis is a game that requires a lot more mobility.
Of course.
You can play pickleball with a slower mobility.
Hmm.
Uh, tennis, I used to play tennis, and tennis is a game that
Why?
requires a little more agility.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think as you get older, it's more difficult to play. Um, it's I personal opinion is I think it requires more skill than pickleball.
Hmm.
But
Well, we're
pickleball,
gonna have to find out. Who knows?
yeah, well, pickleball can give you enjoyment. That's the
And I
point,
think too, what's in, with
and some
pickleball,
exercise.
and it's something that, like, as you mentioned, there are like levels, to pickleball. So, you can't really like play tennis like slowly. And I think with pickleball, that's what's so great is that depending on where you are, because I know young people that play pickleball that it's aggressive, it can get like, very intense.
It's like
Um,
golf. I mean, you can play
right,
golf
right.
at a very high
Hmm.
level, or you can play and shoot 125. Or frankly, bowling.
Hmm.
Nobody says you can't bowl if you'll bowl 90. Uh,
Right.
you don't have to bowl a 220 average to bowl. So those are the kinds of games that I think are, and pickleball now joins that,
Hmm.
uh, lifelong forms of exercise until you get to a really, bad point. But you can
Yeah,
play them into
absolutely.
your 80s and whatnot.
I just think it's great. I know that people at Clingy Martin Park, do pickleball, play pickleball a lot. And now that Tully Park has these specific courts for it, I just think it's really great that the town is embracing this whole pickleball thing. And as Otto mentioned, you just have to go to Tully Park. You get a complimentary ID card. Um, Obviously, it's only for residents of North Hempstead at this point. And to get that ID card, you bring three different proofs of residency. It could be a property tax bill, a deed, a current utility bill, gas, electric, water, cable, telephone, a driver's license, or a non-driver's ID.
You only
So
need one of those, though, right? You don't need, you said three.
no, you need the following three. Yeah, well, it says the following three proofs. So I think you actually need to bring all three.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it doesn't say choose one. So it appears. I mean, I could be wrong. I know, like, for our pools where I live, you have to bring your ID and a utility bill. So maybe they need to show that you have three different, just to cover all their bases for that. So if you need more
Yeah.
information, obviously you can call 311. I'm excited to hear Otto's pickleball journey, and the hot take. You're so close to it, Otto. You have to get all the details for that. But
To be
also
honest
speaking,
about it, I don't have the time.
well, you might have to give up something, Otto, for this pickleball. This
Yeah.
could, I think you're scared to dive in because you're gonna be into it, I think is the problem.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of sports for
I've
Otto.
still got the good fortune of golfing once or twice a week, which I
That's right.
like, and family and
I know.
project independence,
You're a
and
busy man.
I'm still doing marketing and sales coaching
That's right.
for a company, uh, which is very interesting to me. It keeps me
Yeah. Well,
tuned
see,
in
if
with
everyone could just be like you, Otto, we'd all be in a
technology
position.
enhancements.
Absolutely. It's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. But what I also, speaking of events, we're pre-recording this. So this was yesterday, but as on August 1st, the town had its National Night Out program, which was in three different locations. There was one in Westbury, one in Manhasset, and one in Port Washington. I had the good fortune of being at Manhasset, and it was such an amazing event. The whole premise of National Night Out is obviously it's throughout the nation, but it's really a partnership to have the neighborhood, the police, the government all come together, different organizations. The one that I went to at Whitney Pond Park, which is a beautiful park, I have to say, in Manhasset. They redid a lot. There were so many little kids running around. There was all kinds of music, and there was an ice cream truck, a game, and the police department where they were grilling hot dogs. And there was really a lot of great organizations, and it was just a beautiful thing to watch. Really everybody come together. There were so many different people from all kind of walks of life and whatnot, and it was just really great. So kudos to the Parks Department, Community Services, who put this together, because it was such an awesome event. So
There's two parks there. There's one on the other side of Northern Boulevard, opposite Macy's,
mhm.
Manhasset Valley, I think it's
Yep.
called. I just walked there not long ago. It's really a beautiful little park.
Yeah, the one that I'm referring to is Whitney Pond Park, and
Yeah,
there's a
it's on the
pool.
other side
Yeah,
of
and there's a
Macy's.
pool right there too. But what a beautiful park, because there's actually, from the park there's a whole grounds behind it with like a bridge, and you could walk that bridge to get to Macy's. And they redid the picnic tables over there with these beautiful umbrellas. I mean, it was really, I haven't been there in a long time, and it was really incredible. So
Yeah, they have a bunch of stuff, basketball courts, picnic.
yeah, there was tennis courts there too. Really,
Right.
really cool stuff. So it was awesome, and I think it's really great that the town provides these kind of programs. Otto, I have to bring this up to you. We've had a lot of meetings over Project Independence. I've been scheduling a lot of different partnership kind of meetings and learning about different organizations. So we've been quite busy on our front. And we had this one meeting, and it was just so many interesting stats that were being shared. And I just had to really share it with our listeners. By the year 2050, there will be more people aged 60 years or over than adolescents and youth aged 10 to 24 years, which is amazing. Like, I think that really shows how fast and why our program is certainly so important. And by the end of this decade, in 2030, the number of people 60 years and older will grow by 56%. So that's from 962 million in 2017 to 1.4 billion in 2030, which is a lot. Growing really fast. So it's so important to, I was thinking about that, having the show and featuring these organizations that are out there that are giving so much information and services to our seniors, because
Well,
are growing.
you hit a chord that I made a note of here actually, and that
Mhm.
is the complexity of long-term care.
Mhm.
Um, and it's going to be becoming
Yeah.
more complicated. I mentioned a number of times a family member, Larry. Uh,
Mhm.
he's going back to Ireland tomorrow. He's 92, and he's going to
Wow.
go back to Ireland, and because he's going to be able to get the care there. His niece lives there, and he's going to be living with his niece in Ireland.
Really?
He had no
Wow.
children.
Yeah.
He was married. His wife died about 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, but I thought about that, and I'm saying to myself, he's like an adult orphan. He
Yeah.
isn't because he has people, but he doesn't have people who are willing to say, come on, move
Right.
in, uh, you know, and it's a very complicated. As you get older,
Of
um,
course.
it's a complicated. A lot of there's no book on it. I think there's only guidance that can be provided, and frankly, which led me to think about how important Project Independence is,
Mhm.
uh, because it can help during that process. Talk to the social worker, talk
Yeah.
to the nurses. You mentioned having all these meetings with partners.
Mhm.
Uh, Somebody individually would have to have meetings with all
Right.
these partners. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Project Independence is having meetings with different partners who can work together, and to me, that's the beauty of Project Independence, which people should take advantage of.
Oh, you're so right, Otto. And that was the term you used, about the, elder orphan. I mean, that's a real term that's used now, amongst people who are just alone, and it's all right, and that's why these things that we talk about, whether it's these circle of supports or planning, because I think so many of us, it's just life passes and then you're in a situation where you're like, oh my God, and look at your friend, he didn't have this, network and these kind of things in place. So it's very difficult to, age. And when you need care and someone, it's really a hard thing. And there's so many people, men and women out there just like him, but you're right, to call a Project Independence and say, I need help. And like, that's what I always stress to everyone is that you just can call. You don't even need to know what you need, just that you need assistance and you want to know what's out there for you, so it's just as simple as calling 311 or 516-869-6311 to just get connected. There's really, even at that event I was mentioning that I was at yesterday, there were so many different people, that were coming up to our booth. Paul and I had a table, and, they didn't even realize, they said, oh, what's Project Independence all about? And they were like, oh yeah, no, I use like the transportation through the town. They weren't even realizing that was us, so it's like, they use like these bits of the exercise program, so it's so important to do these things and to really get the word out there because, they're just people might only use one little pocket of our program. And there's so much more that is open to you, and as you mentioned, having these meetings with partnerships, it builds our network and our resources, to give the person that might need assistance. So,
I'm still amazed by, like, I bring it up often, as you can well imagine, and the reluctance of people to utilize the program.
mhm.
And I don't know why.
I
it's
think
not,
people think there's a catch too, I
yeah,
think
they
a lot of
do.
people
I
are,
really think they
yeah.
think that they're going to get
And I get
charged
it.
for
Listen,
something.
it does seem too good to be true, like I
Yeah,
understand, it seems like, wait, like, so this is free and I get to like sign up for this and do these, it's like, wait, like, because I mean, unfortunately, so much of society, there is some catch, but this really is something
there's no
that
catch.
we're fortunate, right? Absolutely. So
And there's
it's
no charge.
yeah,
It's
there's no charge. Absolutely. And there's so many, and you could use it now, you could, whatever it might be. But on that note, we need to take a quick break. We will be back. This is Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. And we'll be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We are in our second segment of the Talk of the Town. I am Kristina Liu, your host. My co-host is Otto Los today, and we are just catching up on all things seniors, community, whatever it might be. There's a lot to cover, certainly going on in North Hempstead. And Otto, during the break, we had mentioned that another fabulous program that is coming up in North Hempstead through our partnership with North Shore University Hospital, Northwell Health, is the skin cancer screening. This is a van. It was over at Clingy Martin Park earlier in July, and now on August 9th, it's going to be at Manor Haven Beach Park from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can register for this. You can call 311 to register for that as well. But it's so important. And I checked out the van when they were at our building at Clingy Martin Park, and there was a lot of people that were coming in to get these screenings. So,
well, unfortunately, I can speak from a lot of personal experience as far as dermatology and skin cancer goes. And my word of encouragement is I've had several Mohs surgeries, and I could, there's a lot of, now I'm staying on top of it. I don't foresee any more Mohs surgeries. But my point being, screening like they're going to do is very, very important to catch things before they come to the point where you need surgery, where they
Right.
wind up carving pieces out of your head or whatever, frankly, to paint an ugly picture, but it's true. The earlier you work on screening, and when there's small little problems, there's a lot of times, frankly, there's a cream that you can use, Fudex, EFUDEX, it's prescribed, but you can use it on certain little spots before they become big deals, and help make it so that it doesn't become a big deal. So the only way you can do that is you got to talk to somebody who can prescribe that.
No, and it's so important, and a couple of months ago, and we had a topic about, skincare and, protecting your skin. And it's also so important on top of this to be aware of it yourself, on top of going to the doctor, like for you just to keep an eye on something that's on you that might look like, you just say, okay, is this look right? It's just so important to do these kind of at home screenings as well, the initial thing. And that's with so many different things, with women and breast cancer, it's so important to really be aware of your body, and every time we have a doctor on this show, that's what they always say, it's nobody knows your body like your body, so it's really important to clock these things and to keep track of it, because as you mentioned, Otto, there's so many things that could really be avoided, before it gets to the point where now you're already looped in and there's a whole host of treatments and all these different things that have to get done, and listen, I get it, it's just another thing to add to the list, but if you think about, being that proactive, it really can save you, a lot of things down the road with so many.
One small example of that, and that's again from personal experiences for men, you mentioned breast cancer, for men to make sure that the doctor, I don't care how old you are either, it gives you a PSA test.
Yep.
And I just had it 2 days ago. I was talking to a good friend, a guy, who called me because he knew I had prostate cancer. And we went over his situation. And fortunately, his PSA was at a low number, which means it can probably be contained fairly easily. But if you don't do that, you're the one who has to tell the doctor, make sure I have a PSA test as a man. And I tell my sons at a young age that, you need to get a baseline. Anyhow, point being.
No, you're right. No, but it's really all goes back into, that being proactive and doing these things, it's so important, and they're not made, it's not asking for too much, like it's just keeping, as you mentioned, those baselines and being aware, and in reference to, just everyone's got to take a shower. You look at yourself, see if there's something that looks a little, my husband, for example, he works out in the sun, he wears, all kinds of long sleeves and protective things, but there's still, things that'll get, and so the two of it, and it's so important, if you have a partner, for your partner to look to, it's really important to monitor those things, because, as you mentioned, like who wants to get involved in these, surgeries and skin cancer stuff, it's just not worth it. So it's important to, be your own best advocate. I want to also mention that the next 2 weeks we have some repeated shows going on, but we'll be back on August 25th with Kai, who is from the community nutrition educator at Cornell Cooperative Extension. She will be on talking about better beverage choices and the importance of hydration. I feel like hydration comes up a lot on our show. It actually came up in our first segment today as well, in regards to inflammation and just the importance of it. Certainly this weather has been super hot. We're kind of hitting a break, it's not too overwhelming. But I even felt myself, I was really trying to be conscious of drinking even more water, and even things that had, like more like electrolytes in it as well, because it's a terrible feeling. And I'm always yelling at everyone to make sure they stay hydrated at all times, because unfortunately I've seen people of all ages, get dehydrated. And then once you hit that point, unfortunately got to get an IV bag. It turns into a whole thing. So it's just
I'm
really
a bad hydrator, I admit.
Yeah. I really try to be conscious.
Yeah.
As I sip my water.
And one of the things I do, especially like the last couple of weeks when going out golfing, for example, is to put a bottle of water in the freezer.
Yes, you gave us that tip, and I actually mentioned that to my dad, because that is his go-to as well.
Yeah, and it works. And we did
Yeah.
talk about it, but you know,
Yeah, no, it's such a
talking
great tip.
about golf, by the way, I have another golden nugget.
Ooh, I love
You
a
know the
Otto
name
Golden Nugget.
Charles Barkley at all? He's a
Of
guy,
course.
he's a character. He's a very funny guy, I think,
Mhm.
and he was on some show last week. I saw it, and he talks about life is like a golf, all right?
Mhm.
And he says he's on the back nine right now. And I said, well, I'm on the back nine too to myself.
Mhm.
And he said, but we don't know what hole we're on. Are we
Mhm.
on the 17th hole? Are we on the 13th hole? Like in your
Mhm.
case, you're on
Yeah.
the front nine, all right?
Oh,
But what hole are you on? You don't know. You know,
yep, that's
you're
right.
going to be on the back nine someday.
Yeah.
Uh, but I found that to be, because
Yeah,
I'm a golfer,
that's right.
kind of an interesting
I
analogy.
like it. I like the
Uh,
little
yeah, I'm
golf
like,
analogy to
okay,
life.
I'm on the 17th hole. You really want to be on the 17th hole. You really want to get to the 19th hole. That you want to hold off on as long as you can,
That's
But
right.
I found it kind
Absolutely.
of interesting.
I like that. No, I think that's a
Yeah.
good, a solid little metaphor there. Um, but Otto, we have to get back to all the wonderful things going on in the town. Fun Day Monday has been full effect. Rebecca, unfortunately, is not with us. She's kind of our Fun Day Monday,
When you
guru.
say not with us, she's just not.
Yes, she's just not here not here for
Right.
this because she is getting prepared for a fabulous, well-deserved vacation that she's been planning for a very long time. So she'll give us all the details when she is back with that. But I will do my best at promoting Fun Day Monday. As we mentioned, Fun Day Monday is a free senior program. It's held at North Hempstead Beach Park in Port Washington. It takes place every Monday. Luckily, they've been going pretty strong with not having to cancel it. So the last week they had, or I should say earlier this week, they had the Beatles were there, and that was really a fun program. They were this Beatles. I saw videos online. They seemed to do a really great job at doing some tribute to the Beatles, which was really nice. And next week on August 7th, it's going to be Dance Aloha, and an Elvis tribute will be there on August 14th, which this one sounds great. The Rat Pack tribute, it's going to be Frank Sinatra impersonator, Dean Martin, and Jerry Lewis. So that should be really fun. And of course, August 21st is the last one, and that's Hometown USA, which is always my personal favorite. It's a tribute to all those who have served. There's a classic car show. There's going to be a bunch of performances as well. There's different vendors there. It's a really wonderful, wonderful day, and I encourage everyone to, if you can't make other ones, to certainly go to that one because it's really great. And that you could also, for all the other, so there's 3 Fun Day Mondays left. If the weather is precarious, if it's too hot or if it's raining, whatever it might be, if it seems, not normal weather, because we certainly never know, always call 311 just to double check if the program is still on, because if it is rescheduled, it's rescheduled to the Thursday of that week. So please always call first if you were wondering. There's also free transportation buses available for so many locations. They keep adding locations, but there's in Great Neck, Manhasset, in Westbury, Williston Park, Mineola, Albertson, Roslyn Heights, Manhasset, Port Washington, New Hyde Park, Herrick's, Westbury, Clark Place, Mineola. There's so many different locations in each of them. So if you are interested, please call 311 or 516-869-6311. Because there's a lot of stuff. And of course, we had mentioned earlier, there is pickleball there, there's Tai Chi, there's line dancing, there's a farm stand that's there as well. So definitely call 311 or check it out. 3 more left, which I cannot believe. I feel like summer is flying by. I remember when we were just promoting the beginnings of Fun Day Monday, and here we are talking about the last 3 Fun Day Mondays. But there's still a lot going on. Otto, I know you and I have registered for this, but I hope all of our listeners will as well. The Citizen Preparedness Training Program. As we had mentioned, there's been so many weird weather events that have gone on. There's all kinds of fluke things that I think everyone's just sitting here saying, what is going on? So it really teaches you the importance to have tools and resources to prepare for any type of disaster, and how to respond to it, And whether it's man-made or, just a natural disaster, participants will be in this training course. You'll learn all these information, and you will also develop a family emergency plan, how to stock up on emergency supplies, and each family that attends will get this backpack that has a kind of some starter material to get you prepared. That is on Wednesday, September 6th at 9 a.m. It's about 2 hours, the program, so it should be over by 11 o'clock, and that's at Clinton G. Martin Park in New Hyde Park. You have to register for this event. There is a registration link at www.prepare.ny.gov. If you missed any of that, obviously you can call 311. And I want to let people know as well, out of a lot of our events, we've been having whoever is attending help someone sign up for the program, because a lot of people might not have access to, a computer to register online. So if you were in that camp, please call 311. I'll be more than happy to register you for the program. So it should be important, Otto. I'm definitely.
And you get to talk to Kristina.
And you get to talk to me. You get a free backpack and you get to talk to me. I mean, I'm not sure what's better. But also for this program, it is available, because it's in partnership with New York State, to have, if you speak a different language, they're able to find a translator to be there if they have about 2 weeks notice. Some of the languages that they said they'd be able to is Spanish. There was some like Chinese, Korean, Farsi as well. But they need to make arrangements. So if you are in this camp, when you register, or someone's registering for you, that's kind of mentioned in the notes bar. So obviously if enough people, I think they would be able to do that. But once again, if you missed any of that, call 311 or 516-869-6311 to register for that, because it's so, so important.
Kristina, you just said
yes.
something, by the way.
Yes.
Yesterday, I mentioned earlier, I have grandsons and son and my daughter-in-law here, and we ordered Chinese food. And you mentioned Chinese, language, all right? And the menu that we have is a printed menu, and it has one part is in Chinese and the other part's in English. I'd really be curious if we ever have a person who's Chinese on the show to try to explain how these characters work that they use. Right? All right. Like there were 3 characters on the left, which were in Chinese, characters, and then a whole bunch of stuff on the right.
I know. It's amazing. I know.
Those 3 characters describe what was done over there. I'd just be kind of, if the opportunity to get a little bit of an explanation from somebody who could tell us,
Yeah. Absolutely.
And frankly, I know other cultures and other languages.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in learning. We have a lot of Asian people in the North Hempstead area.
Absolutely.
It would be great to be able to talk to them about their culture. And
it's incredible. Because I've seen it, and even our flyers that I was just reading, we had those translated, and it's just, first of all, it looks beautiful. And it's just true, because how does one correlate? But it's interesting. And I think, Otto, we always mention on the show, and this thing I would love to do, into next year, is to, really have different cultures. And because North Hempstead has so many different cultures, part of it. And I think it's interesting to learn about, certainly all these things. So
an example, I would love to learn more about the Indian culture. First of all, the country itself. There are different, we talk, it's like arthritis, all right? It's an overview. India is an overview. What is India really made up of? Culturally, like.
Absolutely.
And then another one that I'm really interested in is I look at a menu of Indian food and I like to know what I'm getting into. I'd really like to try stuff.
That's this is what I have to do, because, I think, and that's always the come together is the food is always, and I know that North Hempstead used to have some of those programs, where they would have kind of a little tasting of all different foods and cultures. And I always think that that's a really great way for everyone to come together, because who doesn't love to? I think food is the way to so many hearts, certainly mine.
But it would be
Very
interesting,
interesting.
to have
Absolutely.
somebody, like if there's an Indian association or whatever,
Well,
cultural.
there's it's a great point because there's so many that are involved. There's wonderful groups that actually come to Clinton G. Martin Park that meet as well. And it's something that I would love to dive into in the next year of after anniversary. But Otto, we just flew through another segment. We will be back. This is Project Independence and You Community Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You. This is Project Independence and You Community Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We are in the last segment of Talk of the Town. I was trying to multitask. I was trying to set my timer while talking, and apparently that was just
Multitasking.
it was just, I forgot I had to set my timer, that Dan gave me my new responsibility of timer setting.
You lost your mindfulness.
I did. But we were talking about so many wonderful things that are going on in North Hempstead. There's just endless programs. And even though we are, approaching the last month of summer, there's still so much happening. And there's a lot of August concerts that the park department is putting in. And there is Saturday, August 5th at 7:30 p.m. is Street Fighter. This is a very popular cover band. It is a Rolling Stones tribute band. It's going to be at Manor Haven Beach Park, and they certainly are all over the place, Street Fighter. And I think Rebecca is actually friendly with some of the members. But that is going to be at 7:30. On Sunday, August 6th is Fleetwood Mac, which is a Fleetwood Mac tribute band. That's at North Hempstead Beach Park at 6 p.m. On Thursday, August 10th at 7 p.m. is Tramps Like Us, which is a Bruce Springsteen tribute band. That's at North Hempstead Beach Park. On Sunday, August 13th is Just 60s, which is all 60s music. That's at North Hempstead Beach Park. And then on August 17th, there is a Rusty Spurs, which is a modern traditional country band. That's at Jerry Pond Park over in Roslyn. And August 19th is Radio Flashback, which is hits from the 70s and the 80s at Manor Haven Beach Park. So there's a lot of concerts. If you've missed any, you can still check all these out. They're free to go. Sometimes there's a parking fee depending on what park it is, but most of them don't. So you could always call 311 ahead of time to find out that information. And then on Wednesday, August 9th, is one of the Wednesday movies in the park. That's at 8:30 p.m. And it's going to be Black Panther Wakanda Forever at Whitney Pond Park. So I always say that's a really nice thing to do with the whole family, especially if you're a senior, if you have your grandkids. That was quite the movie that was very popular amongst children as well. So definitely check that out. Also, there's these really great programs that North Hempstead's been doing. Speaking of kids, they're upcycled kids crafts, and there is going to be the last one is going to be Wednesday, August 9th, and it's Building with Wood. It's at 10 a.m. at Blumenfield Park on Main Street in Port Washington. The classes are free, but participants must register. This craft program is for children ages 3 to 10. What I love about it, upcycling crafts is all about reclaiming old materials and turning them into something new and giving them a new life. So it's a really cool way to craft and also to use, to learn about how to kind of upcycle these things. So if you are looking something for your child or your grandchild to do, definitely call 311 to check that out. That is for August. And then September 13th, Otto, mark your calendar down because our Project Independence Advisory Committee meeting will be coming back for the fall. This is Wednesday, September 13th at 10 a.m. at Clinton G. Martin Park. It's also virtual. So if you are interested in the virtual option, you can call 311 and we'll send you over a link. But we're going to have who we had on our show. The speaker is going to be Marielle Hunnenberg, she's going to be on. Oh, I actually don't think you were here that day. And so I'm glad you'll see her.
No.
She's from Metro Occupational and Physical Therapy. She did a lot about dual task activities and fall prevention.
I missed that one.
So now you could, I'm glad. So on September 13th, you could hear from her. And
Yeah.
because September is National Fall Prevention Awareness Month. So that's why I called her in for that. She does a great presentation. So if you are interested in participating in our advisory committee meeting, I always encourage people to come. It's great. We've been seeing a lot of new faces joining us. And Otto always says you can participate as much as you want or as little as you want, for this, but you really can voice, things that you think are needed in the community or programming that you'd like, and you just hear what others have to share, I think, is really
But it's
important.
not a political meeting.
Absolutely. That's right.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It is.
It has. Every
Right.
now and then somebody tries to route it into
Of course.
politics.
And I love, listen,
It is
everyone
not
thinks
politics.
Project Independence can, save all your problems of everything.
Right.
This is really based upon, program. Of course, if you have a question about a specific thing, we will direct you to the right place. But as Otto said, it's really about kind of programming and needs of seniors in the community. It's great because it has a lot of, it's a mix of seniors, of professionals come, different community group members. And actually in October, what we're hoping to do for that advisory committee meeting is to pull in a bunch of different partners. I've been working on a list of people. It's just to come to our advisory committee meeting, share a little bit about, what services they provide. So it'll be kind of like a little roundtable discussion on that. So hopefully that works out for October. That is our goal. But I really think people should certainly join. And what's great about the virtual option is that whether you can't come or you just, are busy, whatever it is, you could still be a part of the meeting too. So call 311 or 516-869-6311 to get connected to that program.
It is time well spent.
Good, Otto. And that's right. And Otto's been doing this now for a lot of years. Otto,
Since
how
the
many years?
beginning.
Since the beginning. And at the event that we were at yesterday, yesterday, which was Tuesday, for those of you who are listening on Friday. But there was a lot of different, government officials that were walking around, and so many of them remembered us when we just started, the program. So we were just all talking about, just how it's grown so much. And it was just really great to hear, these government officials who, not just from North Hempstead, higher up in the county and New York State. And they were just so fond of the program and really everything that it's provided. And they were just blown away when I told them, I said, we're at like almost 17,000 members now. And people's brains were like, wait, what? How did this, program that started off with, these two little census tracts, that you were a part of, Otto, grow into this? And it's always a fun thing to certainly talk about. But I think Otto's been in the advisory committee since like 2000 and
well, Rebecca's mother, as we've talked about in the past, and Madge Kaplan.
Yep.
There were only a handful of people in the beginning,
and we're so lucky. We're lucky you bought into us, Otto, and you stuck with us for all these years.
Well, we were very lucky that there's a really great team that runs Project Independence. As I said,
it is too. And
it's not a political organization.
No, it is certainly
is not. It's a group of
not.
social workers and nurses who care about what they're doing.
Yeah, and so many of us have really been around for since the beginning of it all, and that's
you're young, so that's
yeah. I mean, I was just a baby. I was just a baby in an advisory committee meeting, trying to get my social work degree, and I didn't leave. I stayed. I was too invested to leave, Otto. But I'm glad I did. And then of course this show.
Well, we're all glad you did too.
Yeah, and look, this show, it's just crazy to think too, like we're going to be celebrating our 12th anniversary show in September. And we're actually going to have one of our fabulous guests, as to be the supervisor, will be joining us for that. So I'm really excited that Jennifer.
I remember telling Judy Bosworth that I would steal you for private if I was still in the business.
Good, I like that. You can tell Jen that now, Tim.
Yeah. But she
But
knows.
it's really it's exciting, and I can't believe, it's just time flies. The fact that I feel like we just started the radio show and now here we are. And it's just it's great, and it's just fun to be recognized for people saying, oh my god, I watch it. That happened at the event too. Oh my god, I see you on TV all the time. And this woman called me the other day and she was like, which I'm glad they're listening, because people who, if you miss any of the information we're talking about, always call 311. And they, the SR that came in said, I'd like to be connected to the nice young lady who was talking about different programs that were coming up. I said, I am that nice young lady. Thank you so much for calling. But it's really great. So it's just wonderful. And that's why I always encourage people, if, even if you don't need everything we are providing, join us. You can volunteer. There's so many great things that go on within Project Independence, and our exercise classes. Those are going to be coming back in the fall. Rebecca's been working hard at finalizing that schedule, which is so jam-packed with all over the town, different locations. I mean, that program is really booming, all the free programs. And obviously you can watch on North Hempstead TV, all pre-recorded ones as well. So I know a lot of people like to do that kind of to supplement the regular classes. So great stuff going on within North Hempstead. Also coming up in September, and I really want people to register for this because it's only limited spots available. Kicking off on September 13th is the Watch Your Step Fall Prevention Program. We're always talking about fall prevention on this show, and this is provided through our Project Independence nurses. The program's for 5 sessions. You'll learn ways to decrease your risk of falling, simple exercises to increase strength and balance, the importance of medications for bone health, community and home safety. You have to register for this. It's going to be at the Port Washington Public Library. So please, and from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. So once again,
1
it's
p.m.
built up. 1 p.m.
So you can still go to advisory committee meeting.
Exactly.
Same
Like
day.
that's right. We have you could just have a full day. We like to do that here, but certainly.
Port Washington has a couple of nice restaurants too, so you can grab a little bite afterwards.
I like Otto. Maybe that's what you should do. You could just you could plan for people. And you were right, Otto. There is some really great food establishments over in Port Washington. Also kicking off on Friday, September 29th, the Fridays at Yes We Can program will be back. This program, there's a lot of your favorites, whether it's exercise for balance and strength, which is through our partnership with NYU Langone. But we're also going to have, through our partnership with Emerge Nursing and Rehabilitation at Glen Cove, they're providing a program which is the power of music on your health. So there's going to be, I think, 3 throughout, there's specific dates for those, but once there's like a drumming thing, which I think we kicked it off, Otto, because we had the creator of the cardio drumming program on our show from Germany. So that's one of the programs. There's a harmonica program that they're doing too, which actually helps with like breathing. So there's really interesting kind of fun activities that they'll be providing there. Of course, and then it's followed by the What in the World is Going On current events group, mixed with Color Me Calm, which I like. They're doing this hybrid thing now, which they found to be beneficial because I talking about the world can be stressful. So why not, color while talking about it, so you're kind of balancing out your stress level to calm down. Some days also, there will be the Heart to Heart Bingo, and blood pressure screenings, which is Kelly Steinman, who's one of our nurses, and Gina Etienne, who is one of our social workers, do that program. And then Kelly Steinman on some days will also provide some brain games. So it's a really great program, the Friday program. I encourage everyone to mark it down. It kicks off at 9:30 a.m. on Fridays. But to get the specific schedule of events, please call 311. Or you could always call 301 and sign up for our Project Independence newsletter, which just hit homes for the August one. I just got in, and that came out with a lot of this information. And I always tell people, if you have an email address, or if you are the parent or the child, whatever it might be, or are a professional in the community and want to know what's going on, because on top of Project Independence information, we have a lot of town events in there too. So sign up for that. That actually, which is so amazing. I think we are almost at 5,000 people signed up for the email newsletter, which is great because I remember when it was just, a handful of people and we thought it would be a great way to get out information. So it's really great and someone called the other day and said, sign me up for that newsletter. So I was very happy because I work hard on that. So
I'm sure that the brain games with Kelly is entertaining as well.
yeah, I've actually participated in brain games. And it's really, it is a fun thing because people are laughing because some things are so difficult that you can't even like begin to figure out, so you're kind of doing it as a group effort, and it really is a fun activity to do.
When is that one again?
The brain games will be actually on October 13th and December 8th. Those are the 2 dates for that one, for those. That's great. I'm glad you mentioned that because with this, you could actually sign up for every single thing, or you could just pick and choose, which ones you're interested in attending as well. But just call 311 or 516-869-6311 to get all the information on that as well. And of course, a lot of our social groups, I am, getting emails while I'm on here about confirming dates for our social discussion group, our men's group, our Blankets of Love group. So, everything had kind of a summer schedule, but will be ramped up back in the fall time. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of new programming as well. And I just want to encourage you all too, if there's something that you think would be beneficial, that's how we kind of figure out what we want to do is by, hearing from the people who utilize the programs. So many of our wonderful things that we do came out of our advisory committees. So your suggestions, and that goes for this show as well. If there's a topic or a guest, someone that you think would be really helpful to get the word out, let us know.
Well, we exchanged emails during the week about scams.
Yes, absolutely.
And how do the bad guys and
Yep.
women, the crooks, how do they get their information?
Yeah.
That they use to a lot of scams are just potluck. They throw it out off the wall.
Right, but some are more tailored. No,
some of them
absolutely.
are very pointed. And how do they get this information?
And that's a great point. And at the event that I worked at, I was talking to one of the police officers came up and she said, do you guys ever want scam presentations? And I said, absolutely. I said, all we do is talk about scams one way or the other. So I think that would be great. And I was like, oh, perfect timing. I said, I was just talking about this with Otto. So, we exchanged our information. So we're going to reach out to her as well. So.
Now, I think it was good that you guys had a table or a booth. Because I remember last year, I couldn't make it this year, but last year I went around and talked to all the places to find out who would be interested.
Yeah.
I think this way they came to you, which
That's
is a
right.
good thing.
They knew.
Yeah.
They came to us. We had mints at our table, and the cutest were the little kids that were coming up, because they saw, they thought we had some candy. They didn't realize it was just a mint. It wasn't too exciting.
Yeah.
But it was great. And once again, if you missed any shows, check us out archived on our Project Independence website or WCWP's YouTube page. But Otto, we are out of time. What another great show. We're going to be off for a couple of weeks, but we will be back with great information. Thank you, Otto, for joining us. This is Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Have a great weekend.